once again this week for listening to Brandon Sanderfans with Ben and Sam. My name's Ben, as always, with my best friend Sam. How are you, Sam?
I'm good. It was a rough day at work, but I survived, and I'm never going back until
You're never going back.
I have to, which is tomorrow. Oh, I'm sad again. Well, I was doing good.
Well, it doesn't help. So you're on the East Coast, and I'm on West Coast time here in Arizona.
Yes.
Because we don't do daylight savings. So while it's 10 o'clock there for you, it's like 3 in the morning here for me. So you just got off work, and I had to get up from my sleep, from my 8 hour sleep to record this. But it's fine, Sam. We all make sacrifices.
Thank you for your side. But you know what? It's a sacrifice for the good people who listen to this show. Thank you for listening.
Mm-hmm.
Have a good night.
And what oh, that's the end?
No, well, I thought so. Isn't that how we're gonna end?
That was the end? Okay. Yeah, that's how we were going to end. But let's do a little bit more before we end it, Sam.
Okay,
We got a great show for you guys, because this week I rewatched Triple X, The Return of Xander Cage, which, as we all know, was written by the same person that's scribing at least the first draft of the Mistborn script. And Sam, this movie is gold. It's pure gold. 8 stars. Out of a 4-star rating system, you could cut this movie in half, have it on there twice, and both halves would get 4 stars.
Okay. Now, is it pretty? How do I ask this question without sounding dumb? Are there Mistborn elements in Triple X?
In Triple X?
Yes.
Well, there are guns.
Oh.
And guns shoot metal,
Okay.
just like Mistborns do. So
Perfect.
they're practically Mistborn in this.
So what you're saying is
Also,
that The Return of Xander Cage was actually the first draft of Mistborn: The Final Empire, because that's a gutsy move. That's a gutsy move.
Yeah. So I wanted to abbreviate the story to you and kind of the good beats, so we can kind of know what we're looking forward to when we're going to see that Mistborn movie and next year when it comes out into theaters.
Now
this summer.
I haven't seen any Triple X movies. Will I be lost?
No, Sam, because the story of Triple X is Vin Diesel is an extreme sports aficionado who is also really good at espionage. That is Triple X. That is the movie.
Okay. This sounds great. This sounds like a grade A movie.
Well, in the first movie, there was a reason for him to be there. They were trying to infiltrate this terror ring called Anarchy 99. I rewatched it recently as well. Get off my back.
Wow.
And so in Russia, these guys are huge into extreme sports, and so Vin Diesel, his character Triple X, is about to go to, or Xander Cage is his name, is about to go to jail because of some illegal stuff that he'd done, namely stealing a senator's car and driving it off of a bridge, which was pretty awesome.
That's very illegal. Pretty illegal.
It's very illegal. Also very awesome. Very Mistborn of him to do that.
Now you mentioned very
Kelsier.
Kelsier. So you're saying is that much like Kelsier, he did that and then he murdered the senator afterwards.
You know what? The senator didn't get murdered on screen, if he was murdered at all. No, mostly after that he went to a party at this junky studio apartment that was probably his, and they all watched the footage of him driving it, because it's all about they were watching YouTube videos before YouTube existed. This is back in 2002.
Nice.
And so 15 years later, they make Triple X Return of Xander Cage. And let me tell you, this movie, it's great. Opens with Samuel Jackson talking to a football star, trying to recruit him into the Triple X project, which is a project built of people who aren't spies, but have skills that spies could never have. Think of, I don't know, a really cool, dance person. They put this dance person into the espionage crew because they're going to dance fight everyone better than an actual espionage person can fight people.
I love this.
That's pretty much Triple X.
Did you say Samuel Jackson?
Yeah, Samuel Jackson, he's the head of the Triple X
S.H.I.E.L.D.
program.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry.
Of S.H.I.E.L.D., yeah. He's the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. So Samuel Jackson, he's recruiting this guy and talking to him over some nice kimchi or whatever they're eating, and then they get blown up. And that's how the movie starts. a satellite gets dropped on his head, and apparently there's a super weapon that can drop satellites from space.
Wow.
And so the government has to go out and find the team that's doing this, but the team that's doing this can only be stopped by other Triple X members. And because Samuel Jackson's dead, all the Triple X members are gone, and they have to go back after and find Xander Cage, who everyone thinks is dead. Stop me if you've heard this one before.
I won't stop you just because I want to know where this is going. This is intriguing.
Yeah, so basically, Xander Cage gets recruited to fight Donnie Yen and Tony Jaa and Deepika Padukone, who is a big Indian actress. She's like huge overseas, and he gets recruited, and then they give him some soldiers to fight with him. He's like, no, I'm not going to fight with these guys. They're not cool. And then he launches them out of the airplane. And then he says he literally launches them out of the airplane. I'm not making that up. And then he hires his own crew of people who are not sovereign citizens of the United States at all. They're just random people that Xander Cage happens to know. You got Ruby Rose. You got Rory McCann, who's the Hound on Game of Thrones. And he's Yarp in Hot Fuzz.
I was gonna say, wait, that's not Yarp Guy. Oh, it is Yarp Guy.
Yeah, it is Yarp Guy. It's Yarp Guy from he plays the getaway driver whose main metric for success is how many crashes he's been in, and he's creeping up on 200.
Wow.
I kind of love his character. Anyway, so he recruits all these people, and once they're together, they go to this secret island where apparently crime is legal, so all of these illegal people can meet without getting arrested. And he meets with Tony Jaa and Donnie Yen, and they have some Russian roulette. Yes, Jack Sparrow's there, of course. It is pretty much the island from the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie. It's Isle Tortuga, where they can just all go and kind of spend their pirate gold. That thing that never ever even close to existed back in the day of pirates.
Of course.
And so then they realized that these bad guys that had stolen the weapon that could drop satellites from space, that they were actually Triple X members. And that they were working with Samuel Jackson until Samuel Jackson was killed, and this is where the Triple X team went. But Vin Diesel's character never was told that. And so now we gotta mistrust everyone, especially the lady that hired him, who I haven't mentioned before, but just think of like Malfoy's like aunt. That's what she looks like. She's got very blonde hair and high cheekbones.
Now let's say,
am I using too many metaphors for you, Sam?
I don't know who that is. Let's just say
Malfoy?
I don't know who his aunt is. I have not seen
No, I'm just
Potters.
saying that we don't. Malfoy's aunt is more of an abstract, Sam. It's not. There's no hard touchstone for Malfoy's aunt. It's more like, imagine Malfoy.
Yes.
You know, imagine if his genetics were like 2 steps away from himself and a woman. That is who I was trying to describe.
Okay, this is good. Yes. Okay, go on.
Yeah, so now we don't trust Malfoy's aunt, and Donnie Yen, who's the leader of the former Triple X team, and Xander Cage, who's the leader of the current Triple X team. Now they're kind of at odds because Donnie Yen wants to keep the thing and then use it to take down the people that took down Triple X, and Vin Diesel wants to collect it because he thinks it's too dangerous and he doesn't trust Donnie Yen's character, and Donnie Yen's fantastic because he's freaking Donnie Yen.
Yeah. Does Vin Diesel know Donnie Yen? I mean, he should back off. That's all I'm saying.
They're pretty much equals in this movie. Like Donnie Yen is, except Donnie Yen is like a lot better at martial arts. But I'm saying that Xander Cage can get stuff done. Like at the end of this movie, he literally has the airplane, and a satellite's falling from the orbit into the Earth, and he takes the airplane, this giant jumbo jet, and he directs it like a bullet at the satellite, and then he runs through the entire plane and jumps off while it's exploding behind him because it's hit the satellite without a parachute, grabs onto a crate that happens to have a parachute, and then opens it up like maybe 100 feet above ground. It's totally fine.
Oh my god.
The only thing he's concerned about is that they got it on recording, because he told them to record it because it's going to look really cool. And yes, it did look really cool, Sam.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But the best thing about, if you can't understand, the best thing about Triple X and about this script in particular,
Yes.
is the characters. They get really right. You can hear we literally have two competing thieving crews. Every single person has a distinct personality, a distinct role, just like Mistborn. You're just bringing that into a different sphere, into a more maybe serious, a more impactful story about, the abuse of an oppressed people and how they can overcome.
Well, I know I'm excited for it. And especially Mistborn does have very, I don't want to say large sequences of action, but it does have its short bursts, or it has longer moments. And especially with something like Triple X Return of Xander Cage, a lot of the critics were like, hey, it's a dumb movie, but it's just so fun. How can we say no to this much action? And so I know that's not what Brandon Sanderson will want. They want to be like, Mistborn's really bad, but that whole metal thing's great. I want them to like all of it. I want them to like the metal things, and the thieving things, and the drama things.
They're going to. It's gonna be great no matter what happens. I was excited when I learned that Triple X Return of Xander Cage was written by the guy who's now taking care of Mistborn, and he's done a lot of work. He's worked for years in Hollywood, so he probably knows what they're going for and what they're reaching out for. I just think that more than anything, I want to see my friends on screen. I want to see them having a good time. I want to see Vin having meaningful conversations with Kelsey, or whoever they end up being in the end,
Kristen Stewart and Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise would be great as Kelsey. I know we did an entire episode pretty much about that. But
I was just trying to ruin it. But
the only hard part about that is that Tom Cruise wouldn't take it on unless he had a lot of control over the project, and then it would just change a lot. That's what I think.
Yeah. So. No, you're absolutely right. Anyway, that's discussions for when we get closer to the movie. But
when there's actually casting decisions being made.
No, if I remember correctly, the writers for The Way of Kings are different writers than for Mistborn. And so that'll be a whole other venture.
And so, and the thing is, they're not settled if they're going to make Stormlight Archive movies, if they're going to be making Stormlight Archive series, like TV series. So it'll be interesting to see what goes on. They may be doing multiple different sequences or, treatments for TV, for a miniseries, for a movie, for whatever. For a radio play, who knows?
Radio play. Actually, I'd dig that. I think that'd be kind of cool. Anywho, so Ben and I, we read chapters 34, 35, and 36.
Yes,
and
we did.
The last time we talked, we ended on a chapter right before Kelsier was about to throw down with an Inquisitor, and I loved, I loved just jumping into this chapter, right into this fight. Because normally, there's either something dramatic happens in the last chapter, or it's like, this thing happened, then we jump into a new chapter, and there's a little more explaining going on, and more talking. But nope, this just jumps right into Kelsier punching an Inquisitor in the tooth, or in the eye spheres. He was
in the eye spheres.
It's so
probably
so
not the
good.
best idea, not the best place to hit, but there you go.
He was really mad. He was like super mad. But it was. Oh man, I love their fight so much. Goosebumps.
One of my favorite things about this is
Goosebumps.
of course, how he balances, there's metal all around because there are soldiers all around, there are storefronts and everything down by the square where they're fighting. But this poor soldier that gets turned into a wrecking ball and just swung through the air into the Inquisitor, that guy's life is over right?
And he can see it coming to an end. Literally, he's like, "Oh,
Well, and the thing is,
I
like,
died."
okay, so if he was probably knocked unconscious, but let's say this soldier was not knocked unconscious. He was just used as a weapon by the survivor to hurt the Inquisitor. If the entire time that he's laying there, like maybe broken bones, watching the rest of this fight, he's just like hoping, like, Kelsier, please kill this guy, or else he's gonna kill me and everyone I know. Please. And I think that more than anything else is what helps Kelsier succeed. Just the idea that this guy needs it. It's all for that guy, not these ska. It's for that guy that I was probably gonna kill anyway.
I gotta do it for Steve. I can't read his name tag from here, but it looks like Steve. Wait,
I love the idea that in the Final Empire all the soldiers wear name tags. Like the Lord Ruler cares so much about that.
He comes in, he has his oppressive wave, and then he's like walking through the crowds. Barry, Meredith, Catherine, Stephen, Michael, Jacob. He reads all the name tags.
And the thing is, like the soldiers are like flattered, but they're also like, isn't he supposed to be a god though? Shouldn't he already know or not care about our names? Like, shouldn't he already know what our names are?
Well, that's what happened to the last guy. He covered his name tag with his spear as the Lord Ruler was walking by, and the Lord Ruler was like, "Hello." And they just killed him and went on, and everyone else moved their spears a little farther away so he could see him.
Hello, sleeve? Is it? No, it's not sleeve. I'm a woman.
Well, now you're a dead woman.
Well, not anymore. And then just like pushes them by their breastplate like over the entire Final Empire into the ocean.
Into the ash mounds.
I love that Lord Ruler. He like just does some quick math in his head, just like, yeah, can I do that? Yeah. This is how much weight I'll need. This is how much push I'll need. Okay, yeah, I'll do that. And just like leans down and just pew,
Pew.
all the way.
Oh, now it smells like ash and burned hair. Ugh.
Man, I hate sleeve.
Oh boy. Well,
other things that happen in this fight: Renew dies. Renew gets murked. Bye, Renew. I'm sorry. Sorry, you got murked.
Well, that's after he was killed. Oh, excuse me. After he was killed, I believe it was Doxson who's like, I don't know what happens to Kandra, and then Vin was like, Kandra? That was the first time she'd actually heard it, bringing up what we'll find out later about the Kandra himself. But I forgot.
Exactly.
Or I like that. It's kind of like in the 4th season of Arrested Development. Now, stay with me. In the 4th season of Arrested Development...
You mean the worst season of Arrested Development?
The worst season of Arrested Development... Maybe was talking to George Michael, and maybe said, let's go talk to Lucille too. And George Michael was like, who? And she's like, Lucille too, Lucille Ostero. And he's like, oh, I don't know who that is. And then thinking back through the seasons, he never met Lucille Ostero. That is continuity at its finest. That was beautiful. It reminded me of that in this moment, because he's like, I don't know how a Kandra works. And Vin was like, Kandra? And I was like, Vin, we all know about... Oh, you don't know about Kandra.
I mean, technically, none of us know anything about Kandra at this point. Like, this is one of those things, and I think Brandon gets better at this as he continues to write, better at sticking to his rules. So we don't know what Kandra can do, what they can't do, why they do what they do, and we're going to learn that more as the series progresses, because there are reasons he's keeping the stuff kind of close to his chest, because he wants what happens at the end of these chapters to be a big reveal. But
absolutely,
it's always better if you know what your enemy or what guns are on the table before they go off, you know?
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, we know what Mistwraiths can do. We have no idea what Kandra are. So.
Yeah.
I mean, if they had the same name, like, oh, I don't know what Mistwraiths can do. Like, literally, like, there's no Kandra. They're just like sentient Mistwraiths and not sentient Mistwraiths. That'd be interesting. So, but yeah.
I'm trying to. Do we find out? Does this Kandra come back in Well of Ascension? I don't remember. You know what? Let's not worry about it. We will.
We'll definitely deal with that in Well of Ascension. I think he does.
Okay,
I think it's
thought too.
a big point. He's a dog. Anyway,
Don't,
so
don't tell the audience.
so they finish this. They're doing the fight. Kelsier's doing very good fight boy stuff, and
Yes.
he pins the Inquisitor's head down and he cuts it off. The Inquisitor's
Oh
dead.
man, so
First
good.
Inquisitor death ever. No one knew that could happen. Who knew
Yep.
that cutting
Who
off
knew?
something's head would kill it? Kelsey was willing to try. He's braver than the rest of us.
Well, you know who else knew? The French. The French knew that when you cut off somebody's head, it
You know,
dies.
that's why this is based off the French people. That was one of the. So later, I think we're going to find out, like, the Lord Ruler has been living for 1,000 years. In some of Ellen's books, it says that he's been suppressing some things, like things haven't progressed like they should. He's just been suppressing the guillotine for 1,000 years. Just keeping, like, someone will invent it, and he'll just be like, oh, now I gotta... again? That's the third one this week. How many guillotines do I have to burn down before people will just forget that they should exist?
Great. Now I have to go kill that entire city. Ugh. And they just punch them all into the ash mounds.
In the local news, like, another city just flew into the ash mounds. No one knows why. I wonder if it has anything to do with these designs that were in this man's cupboard. And he's like, oh, great. Thanks.
Thanks, CNN. Punt.
So yeah,
Oh,
there's one part that I want to focus on. So Kelsier's fighting, and the people start
Yes.
it's from his perspective that we're hearing these things, and the people start to shout his name. Now, what I'm wondering is, do the people really know the name Kelsier, or would they rather be shouting Survivor? Because as a folk figure, I think that people would know him more as they know him as the Survivor of Past Sin. Like, they may know the name Kelsier, maybe not, but they definitely know the name Survivor of Past Sin. So
Absolutely.
for people, in his perspective, they say he's noticing that people are chanting his name. I like to imagine that the people are chanting Survivor, and he's recognizing that's my name. My name is the Survivor of Hathsin, which is just
Well,
like
and-
another layer of like, yes, I accept that. I'm not going to keep them from calling me that because that's what I want to be remembered by. I mean, that's what it kind of shows his egotism as well in a way.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, I do think that people were chanting Survivor, but I wonder if, it wasn't all one group effort and they were all like Survivor, Survivor. But maybe there's some people, yelling like, because we find out that he was also called Lord of the Mists, and
Yes.
I'm trying to think, maybe Kelsier, maybe some other things, some other names that they created themselves, and that maybe it was kind of like essentially a bunch of orchestras playing at once, where everyone was shouting different things at different intervals at different times, and
Yeah.
it became this cacophony of overwhelming audible support for this folk hero, and it would be really cool if it eventually turned into all of them chanting Survivor and the music swelling in the background and as he chops off the Inquisitor's head. But I think it definitely played to his advantage to have that amount of support, almost like they were pushing on his emotions without actually using allomancy.
Yeah, well, it's only after that we realize that the Lord Ruler is on his way, or maybe he was already arriving at that time, and like all of the emotions just boof, like a blanket of Xanax over everyone, just boof, taking everyone down like a ton. And yeah, I just thought that was interesting that I don't think the people would call him Kelsier because they don't really do that. They call him the Survivor. Well, going on to the Lord Ruler, we meet him for the first time. This is the first time in the book that we've ever seen him. And he's tall, and he's handsome, and he's young, and he's got black hair, and he's thin and pale. And then he's also invincible because a couple of thugs try to stab him with several spears. and
Oh man,
the spears just poke through him, and he just keeps walking like they're nothing.
he's like a pincushion.
Yeah, he's like a pincushion, and he walks up to Kelsier, he backhands him, and he kills him right there in front of everyone.
That
Um,
I Oh man, I in my mind, or at least what I thought I remembered was, he did something different, but no, just like a backhand. What? A backhand, and he's Gonzies. That was it.
yeah,
Oh, it was so cool. It was really sad. Kelsier's dead, but it was so cool.
yeah. I mean, getting to this part, I was shocked in unbelief because I I think the first time I was reading it, I still considered Kelsier to be the main character. And I'm like, oh, well now the main character's gone. He's not going to be around anymore. And true to Brandon's word, like Kelsier's gone. He does not get to impact this story any further from where he is. These he leaves his crew to finish the book pretty much, and to
Yeah.
figure out a climax and a conclusion to all the problems that he's pretty much caused. The House War, the ATM of the Lord Ruler, taking out the Lord Ruler, helping the Ska to rise up. That's now all their problem, and he literally does it because he knew it was going to happen. Later, he has Renault come up, and he or the Khandra that was playing Renault come up, and he is wearing Kelsier's bones because that's what Khandra do. They're like Mistwraiths. They can, but they're sentient. They can choose what forms they take and how they appear. And he explains like, hey, this was probably going to happen, and now people are going to need you all to lead them in the rebellion. And Vin goes a little bit off script. She was supposed to kill the noblemen, but he's like, no, maybe they don't need to die. Maybe they're fine. So she decides to just go up the rung a little bit and kill the Lord Ruler.
She skipped a few steps.
She skipped a few steps.
Nah, I'm gonna go for the handsome, scary guy. So I love. So there's the group of men, or the one guy, or at least the group of people who are coming and yelling about the Survivor and the Lord of the Mists and beckoning everyone to rebel and get the Ska Rebellion growing and going. Mm-hmm. I got goosebumps reading that. I think these chapters are so cool. I mean, obviously it's the climax of the story and it's reaching the end, but it was I don't know. And of course, this is like the kid in me, or at least the person who loves fantasy and who still wants to be a part of productions and who still wants to be a part of musicals and operas and whatnot. But to be a part of a group that's all like super fired up to go and to fight for a life they've wanted and to create songs about it and to go kill a bunch of people. It got me all sorts of it got me excited, and it's giving me goosebumps. And I was like, let's do this Ska Rebellion. And then it follows Vin as she goes and does some crazy stuff.
And the thing is, like, one thing I think that we don't shed enough light on, and it really just struck me right now, in Kelsier's letter, he mentioned that he gave the order to his assassin teams before the day was done. Or he had the Khandra do it. He had Renault do it, to go and take out all of the soothing stations in the city. Yeah. So think of yourself as a Ska. Your entire life you've been oppressed by not only physically and societally, but also emotionally. Your emotions have literally been suppressed your entire life living in the city. And then this night, you've seen a man defeat the Inquisitor, say that he could never be killed, and then it's being said that he's appearing to other people around the city, but they have to rise up right now and fight against the Final Empire and the Lord Ruler. Those people are feeling things for the first time in their lives.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
that they've never been able to feel ever before. And now, not only has Kelsier brought them hope, he has taken away their despair, literally. It's incredible, and I never really noticed this before, that element that was keeping them down I mean, the way evolution works, this must have been going on for generations. The ska, maybe even to compensate for how they were being basically put down, they may even be overly emotional and overly subjected to reacting to their emotions because they're so used to having them soothed all the time. I mean, I can't even imagine not being able to feel what you want to feel, and then out of nowhere it all comes, and now something amazing is happening. Miracles are showing, and you've seen a man do the impossible, and you think this is my time. This is it's time. I feel like something's different tonight. I feel like something new is going to happen if I try.
I want to jump ahead a little bit.
Yes.
Because at one point, we do meet the Lord Ruler with the Inquisitors and with the Obligators up in Credit Shaw. And
yes. Is this in the Little House or up in the High Tower?
Up in the High Tower.
Okay.
And one of the, I think it was the High Prelon or the Lord Prelon.
Yeah, something like that. The Canton.
One of those. He's like, why don't we talk about the Ska Rebellion that's going on right now? That's kind of a big deal. And the Lord Ruler says, it happens every once in a while. You know, it wipes out it gives a chance to wipe out the houses so that one of their petty little wars will do it. But just like you said, this is so much different than any other Ska Rebellion because it had someone at the head of it who had done something and who had done hundreds of things that no one has ever done before. Mm-hmm. And so this isn't just... I don't understand how the Lord Ruler can say... Well, actually, I do understand, because he's so confident in his abilities to be able to stop it that he doesn't think twice about it. But to the people, it's so much more different because they know that they're making a change with what they're doing because of what Kelsier did. The emotions that they're feeling now have riled them up to a point of undoubtedly overwhelming feelings, and I wish there was a stronger word than overwhelming, perhaps even blindingly. Their emotions have blinded them into a, I don't know, fury or a rage or kind of like
well, the number one thing I think that they were
euphoria.
soothing. Yeah, the number one thing that I think those soothing stations were soothing was like any optimism or hope that they could have had. And so it's this overwhelming feeling of finally being optimistic. Like, oh wait, my life is not going to be terrible forever. Like, I could do something right now that could change it forever. And, you know, if I don't succeed, I'll be with a survivor. Or maybe I will survive just like he did. It's pretty incredible stuff. And, like, I see it from the Lord Ruler's perspective. Like, if you lived in a castle for 1,000 years, and every couple hundred years, peasants showed up and, like, threw sticks at your walls. You're like, well, you know, every once in a while they throw sticks at my walls. That's fine. Maybe you're not going to notice when they're finally throwing, like, grenades at your walls and actually burning things down and taking things out because you're so used to the status quo of what's been going on before.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I love that scene up in his tower where he's just surrounded by basically his glory of defeating the deepness and this beautiful like glass mural that he gets to stare at all the time, or when he's not down in his little house being old man ruler. Do you think that at all? Or it's just like she walks in and it's just like, old man ruler, that old. Oh, he just keeps aging, and I can't stop aging.
I do like to imagine that he sits there in his, what I can only imagine is like a swiveling office chair with, he's got like Crocs on. And he's eating a bowl of hot applesauce, which sounds gross, but I mean, he's just into it because he's 1,000. And he's just like, does anyone want to watch Jag? No, I want to watch Jag.
No, you're the Jag, just like pointing at one of them. Just like, sir, I didn't say anything. I told you you were a wuss.
Get me more hot applesauce. I'm going to throw it at you. With my incredible strength. Oh, you
kids. I remember in the war where they took my head off and filled my body with ashes. I got better, though.
Look, there's a mural over there that depicts it. Wait, who took it down? I took it down. It made me mad.
I took it down because it had a guillotine in it. Oh, right. I'm sorry.
it had a what in it? Kill that man. I don't know what he's saying.
I don't know this man. He took my wallet.
He said he was going to walk me to my car. He took my wallet and my keys and pushed me.
I kind of love Old Man Ruler. He knows what he wants. Yeah, he knows what he wants.
He does. He wants to just sit down
hot
with
applesauce,
some loafers, some hot applesauce, maybe some Fight Club. I don't know. He probably likes some old movies.
Some old movies. Yeah, Fight Club, the oldest movie any of us can think of. Fight Club.
Yeah, it goes like this. It goes The Jazz Singer, Citizen Kane, Fight Club. That's the era of movies. That's what I can remember.
Oh man, can you even imagine being that old and just like the same junk all the time? Oh man, it'd be so boring.
It's gonna be so great.
Well, going on from there, so we kind of skipped over. Vin does some really clever stuff. She also saves I love how she spares the guards and says, "Hey, like, dudes, you can choose to do something good tonight and redeem yourselves, or I can murder your faces."
And one guy's like, "I choose murder by redeeming myself," and he runs away.
Yeah,
and then they follow him.
Absolutely, and we get a little scene with Ellen too, where I think Strathventure is just hoping that he dies in the city that night. And he's like, "Oh yeah, you stay here. That's totally fine. He's totally gonna die."
Dad, you said that out loud. No, I didn't. And then he left.
No, I didn't. I would never do that. I'm a tin eye. Laters.
And then Ellen gets some guards with him, and then we don't hear back from him yet.
Yeah, we'll figure out more about Ellen later. But this is as far as we get right now. And Vin gets captured. She gets captured. Okay. She gets thrown into the prisons.
And then they feed her a metal that
that disappears
for other metals. Yeah, that was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what metal it was. Do you think it was... Hold on, let's guess. Do you think it was...
Sam, I do know what metal it was.
Ben? I'm just saying, let's guess. Do you think it was
aluminum
foil? It was diamonds. Ben got it right.
It was diamonds. My favorite metal. Diamonds.
It's the most valuable metal of them all. That and hold on, thinking of a metal.
Glass.
Quartz. Glass is a metal.
Glass is a metal. Glass is my favorite metal. After diamonds, of course.
It goes diamonds, glass, aluminum foil. Now, I'm trying to remember. Okay, so she gets captured. Her medals get burned. I loved the part where an Inquisitor shows up to grab her, and then she tries to run past him, and she's like, "Holy crap, have I been this slow without pewter? This is terrible." Yeah. I can't imagine what that feels like.
I'm terrible. I'm so bad.
I'm bad at running. And she gives up. And that's the end of the book.
Skipping back a little bit, I would love to see an alternate reality of this situation where Vin did not think highly of the nobility and did not convince Kelsier that the nobility were worth saving, and she just goes around and has a murder spree against all the nobility. Just swooping down like a black crow, dropping a piece of metal right on their heads, and then just pushing it all the way down through their bodies, and then just launching back away. There she goes. The little murder fiend.
She's like, "Oh, away." Every time she kills someone, she just, "Oh, away." She probably would have eventually made it to the Lord Ruler, but I think she would have made it there with the crowd, and I think it would have ended up in utter destruction. It would have been
maybe a little more traditional, like fantasy, where it's like, let me fight my brothers, and they just like run after it, like Braveheart style. Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much what we read next week is the end of the book. We're right there, man. Guys. That's the end of the book, pretty much. This has a lot of great stuff in it, but mostly it's description. So if you didn't read it, then the only way we can make it more interesting is literally rereading it to you guys with different voices. So,
which we promised we would never do again.
Yes, we said we would never do again, but the last thing we want to do this week, I think it's time we make some more magic. What do you think, Sam?
Yeah, I've been itching to make some magic. I was
All
hoping
right.
it would rhyme. I've been itching for some magician. No,
There we go. That's good. I love
it was
it.
rough. It was rough.
I've been itching. Yep, 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 yep. For magician. Yep, 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 yep.
Yep, 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 yep.
Let's
There's a
pick
bunny
a
in a hat.
random
Yep,
noun.
yep,
It'll be a good round noun too. Oi. Okay,
Oi.
let's pull this up here. Okay, so the random noun this week is
Yes.
hotel. So Sam, how does
Oh.
hotel magic work?
Oh. You know what?
Mhm.
It all starts with the concierge.
Gotcha. So the concierge, not the hotel owner, the concierge. Does the hotel owner know what's going on in this hotel?
You know what? I'm gonna say it depends on the hotel.
Gotcha. But let's say
yeah,
our
yeah,
hero of the book is a concierge, and maybe the owner's ignorant. He doesn't know what's going on, and so the concierge is doing magic. And what kind of magic does a concierge get for working at the hotel? How does the magic affect him?
So now here's the kind of the creepy part. I don't know if it's gross. I think it's a little creepy. So the concierge is physically the hotel, but much like an anglerfish, he is not but a little squishy connected to the whole hotel that acts as a distraction from the fact that you're inside a living maybe a living thing, a sentient thing.
So it's a transformer, but a building instead of a car. I know, I get it. As soon as I walk into a hotel, I just look at that concierge. I'm like, you know what? I will stay at this hotel. It's the concierge. The concierge is the real candy for me. Just like the anglerfish angle. Just waving that glowing concierge outside. I can't believe I never noticed that he was just floating outside before and glowing at me.
Yeah, didn't it seem weird that his desk was connected to him and his papers weren't moving or falling off, or his pens or anything like that?
I mean,
Crazy.
I didn't want to judge, so I guess that one's on me for not asking more questions,
That's
not
true. Well,
not
you know,
trying to get closer to my concierge.
it's 2017, so you can't judge. No judging concierges. All right, so the concierge.
I love this eldritch horror that we're making out of all hotels that are just a horrible front face that they present just so they can devour people. Like, what are the hotels trying to do? I guess.
Well, now here's the hotel magic. The hotel magic, depending on which hotel you go to, you give money, you eat food, you rest, you leave that hotel feeling 110% better than you ever have before. They're like rejuvenation stations. The magic that's in the hotel is like, trying to think of some sort of pill.
So it's a net positive. It's a net positive for me. It's like I just went to the spa and I come out like feeling more myself. I feel more Ben today.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
But then there's bad hotels, and you know what those are called, Ben?
Motels.
Motels. Thank you very much.
They don't even have a concierge. They just have low prices. That's how they get you through the door.
But you go in and it's just bad magic. But here, the reason that the motels exist and the reason they continue to exist, even though hotels make you feel super good and super like you had some good sleepy sleeps, is
Right.
that motels, because they're so cheap, you just keep going back, even though you don't sleep well. You're like, I should probably go and just hit a hotel.
You're like, at least I didn't get murdered this time. I mean, that's the good thing about motels. I just didn't have to sleep outside or get stabbed.
All right, so
So
those are. I mean, that's one magic. What other magics are in hotels, Ben?
So I want to set up some hard and fast rules for hotel magic. So the power that a hotel gets, I think, is based off of the let's say the Yelp rating of a hotel is what gives it
Okay.
more power. So the better perception the world has of this hotel, the more power it has. It's like a lot of magic systems do that. The perception and the energy that we collectively give to it empowers it, and empowers it to do cool things. So you see the hotel, it's very tall, But
Yes.
what it's doing underground, it's mining for precious ores. Takes those precious ores, it buys birds, and then sells the
Oh.
birds for money. And then another thing, so that's as it gets more power, it can dig deeper into the earth. It's also making maybe some networks with other hotels. There could be, that's where they have like their meetings, one hotel with another. It's deep down in the earth because hotels, of course, cannot move above ground, right?
Correct. Correct.
So the worry is maybe these hotels, the reason that they're banding together is because all these motels, all these bad hotels, they're digging down and they're getting the ores, they're buying the birds, they're selling the birds for money. They're digging down, but they aren't doing it with the same care that hotels are, causing earthquakes, causing fault line shifts, lots of issues for the hotels. And the hotels are trying to shore these things up and defeat the motels and or turn them, help them to,
Oh
it's
yeah.
not your fault maybe that you're a motel, but you don't have to act like a motel. You can have a good Yelp rating too.
I like this. This is really nice. So we've got, excuse me, we've got hotels,
Uh-huh.
and we've got good hotels. Are there bad hotels, Ben?
You know what? I think that there's got to be bad hotels.
Yeah,
Bad hotels today, or hotels even get good ratings that shouldn't,
that's the
but
truth.
maybe they suppress all the bad ones, and those ones maybe they're working to try to create these fault lines. Maybe so the end goal of this bad organization is they actually want to like divide off part of the earth, break it off like a kinder egg and just float that out to space, and then they can just live on that piece and finally transform into their human selves and just live as transformers on that piece of earth that they've shattered and removed. And the good hotels, they're fine. They're like, hey, we have a good life. We can sell all the birds we want. We've got people that stay in us and that they feel comfortable and loved, and they feel better when they leave, and we feel good for helping them. That gives us energy, and that's why we're immortal. But these bad ones, like, no, I want to stand up. I want to be free. I want to stride about. And the only way I can do that is if I break this planet apart and float it out and make a new moon where I can live. You know what I'm talking about, Sam.
I do. I do, and I think that these hotels, I think the hotels and motels, every once in a while, they have like a little flub up where they
Uh-huh.
transform on accident into a human, and it just like
Yes.
it crushes
That's
everyone in the hotel.
and the thing is, like, that's a big worry. Like, they're like, you don't want to transform because we have lots of examples of different hotels that transformed. That's how we got the Statue of Liberty. That's how we got. That's how we got Mount
The
Rushmore.
Lincoln Memorial.
That's how we got the Lincoln Memorial. All these hotels that transformed, but like when people started looking at them, they couldn't perceive it, and so they started losing their power. Remember that the perception of humans is what lets them kind of exist and continue to have more power, and so that's what turned them
Yes.
into statues because they couldn't comply that this building is now a walking, living thing, and so it has to be a statue. And so they turn into a statue, and that's where they've been forever. So those are tales of like those are cautionary tales to these hotels. And so
Yes.
that's why the hotels want to break off. They want to go into space. They're maybe they can exist without being perceived by any humans to be strange or odd so that they can finally live and stretch their legs. And
But
but
maybe
that's
that's
that's kind of faulty logic. I don't think it's really going to work because they're not going to have any power without the human's perception.
exactly. I was going to say maybe that's what the good hotels are trying to do is to stop them from trying to do that. One, it'll destroy the planet. Two, it's not going to work. They're not
Exactly.
going to make it out to space and be able to live as in their transformer forms. They'll turn and they'll just become statues forever, or they might not even be able to turn. We don't know. We
And
haven't
those
written the book
hotels,
yet.
they're debating. You're like, okay, couple things, couple reasons you can't do this thing. First, no birds in space. What are you going to use to buy things? Second,
That's true.
look
Very
at
true.
look at Rio de Janeiro. Jesus, he's just standing there with his arms out forever because he decided to go to the beach one day. Didn't even get there. I mean, I the thing is, I want all the hotels to succeed. And I think that in this world, because the more successful and happy the hotels are, the better our hotel staying experience will be, and the more power they'll have, and the more immortal and longer life they'll have. Think of a hotel
Yeah.
that stood for so long, since like the turn of the century. It's been because they've had very good reviews that entire time. If they don't keep that up, or if they don't, keep up, on the internal structures, which I think the magic would help with, then they're going to be demolished, and something else is going to go up there. A CVS.
How dare you?
Yeah.
A CVS. What about like abandoned hotels and motels? I think those are hotels that they were away from human contact for so long that without transforming, they still became somewhat like statues. They're no longer sentient. They lost that magic. They lost their soul.
Or maybe
they lost their concierge, Ben.
Yeah, they lost their concierge, exactly. Or maybe those hotels and motels that are like in the middle of nowhere, those are hotels that tried to travel, away from where they were so that they could be free, but eventually they just reached a place where they're being perceived by too many humans, and that's where they got stuck. They got stuck next to a highway, they got stuck next to, an old mining town, and that's where they are going to be forever. Because if they go any further, they're just going to be this random statue that no one's ever going to be able to see.
That's true. Man, this is good stuff.
This is not only good stuff, this is important stuff. I think people don't talk about enough the plight of statues in our society. And how they're just hotels that just want to be stayed in.
Hey, next time you see a statue, hug it. Just hug it and ask to see its concierge.
Sam, I could have sworn that there was no way we could make hotel magic entertaining, but I really like this one.
This went to a wonderful place, and Mr. Sanderson, that one is all yours.
It's all yours. Hotel magic. You can use it. Although you would probably call it in magic. I know, fantasy, whatever. It's completely free.
Like, what's in magic? What is in it?
That's the joke. That's the joke that all the inns use. They're like, but what's in magic, Pretty much just like that. Thank you guys so much for listening. We're nearing the end of Mistborn. We do have some plans on what we're going to do exactly after the Mistborn series wraps up. We're going to do a retrospective on the entire book, things we liked, things we didn't like. Some goofs about that. We're going to go through just the annotations at the beginning of each chapter, so we can kind of put that together and unravel that mystery a little bit and kind of talk about it. And I think we're also going to do like a clip down of all the episodes so far, so that anyone that doesn't want to reread can kind of listen to some of the moments we liked most from the book so far.
And I think as we talk on the episode where we talk about the book after having read the whole thing, why don't you guys start thinking of some questions? We'll talk about it again next week, but think of some questions that you have about the book, or that you have about some theories or whatever. Just tweet them at us or Facebook them to us. We'd love to have your questions or even your comments. We'll read some questions and comments on the show. Of course, we'll mention who wrote them in, and we'll have a discussion about it. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, do some tweedledals. We'll be excited for it. Anyway, that's it for us here at Brandon Sanderfans. Find us on Twitter at BSanderfans. I'm at Ben Parrish, BENNPARRISH. Sam, where can they find you?
They can find me at Samuel_loose, LOOSE, loose, hang loose, foot loose, cut him loose, all the loose.
Foot loose.
Samuel.
Just like those T-shirts from back in the 90s, hang loose. Those T-shirts.
Exactly. I do. I own one. I don't. I did, probably.
I bet you did.
Well, we love you guys. We really do.
Thank you so much for listening. And Sam, as always, read a book.
Read a book.